Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett. The Hollywood love story that ended in silence. You ever see a couple so perfect it feels like a movie? That was Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett. On the outside they were golden. Smiles for miles, cameras flashing, red carpets rolled out. He was the $6 million man, unstoppable on screen. She was the angel everyone wanted to be or be with. But behind all that shine was a story most people never heard. One filled with sacrifice, heartbreak, and a silence so loud, it echoed for decades. Let's rewind. Before they were tabloid royalty, they were just two people trying to find their place in Hollywood. Lee, real name Harvey Lee Urey, grew up in Kentucky. Quiet, serious, and ruggedly handsome, he wasn't the loud type, but he had something casting directors loved. After some smaller roles, he landed a big one, The Big Valley alongside Barbara Stanwyck. That was his launchpad. People saw he had real presence, not just looks but gravity. Farrah? Oh, she was pure Texas sunshine. Born and raised in Corpus Christi, she had that all-American charm. Warm, funny, with a megawatt smile and a twinkle in her eye that made you feel like you already knew her. She moved to LA to model, and it didn't take long for photographers to start fighting over her time. Farrah wasn't just photogenic, she was iconic before anyone even knew her name. They met in the late 60s. A party, some mutual friends, and bam, instant chemistry. He was already rising fast. She was just getting her foot in the door. But it wasn't one of those shallow industry flings. They clicked. Lee was steady, private, protective. Farrah was magnetic, open, spontaneous. He grounded her. She lit him up. They got married in 1973. At first, it was like watching a real-life fairy tale. Lee landed the $6 million man that same year. The show took off like a rocket. Suddenly he was on TV screens in every home, on action figures, lunchboxes. You name it. Farrah's career was building too. She was doing commercials, magazine shoots, and slowly moving into acting. Lee cheered her on every step of the way. He called her the love of his life in interviews. They were the couple. Glowing, glamorous, and seemingly untouchable. But here's the thing no one tells you about fame. It doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your soul. At first, the long hours were manageable. Lee was filming constantly. Farrah was auditioning, networking, building her own name. But time together started slipping away. Little things got lost. Dinner dates, weekend mornings, quiet evenings, replaced by scripts, stylists, and shooting schedules. And then came 1976. The year everything changed. Farrah landed the role that would skyrocket her to icon status. Jill Monroe in Charlie's Angels. The show was a cultural bombshell. And Farrah? She became the face of the era. Her red one-piece swimsuit poster? Sold over 12 million copies. That smile? It was everywhere. Magazines, TV, cereal boxes. She wasn't just an actress anymore. She was a phenomenon. Lee tried to keep up. He asked her producers if they could adjust her schedule, just a night or two a week, so they could have dinner. Just dinner. A normal human connection. But Farrah declined. Not to be cold, but because she didn't want the world to see her as riding her husband's coattails. She wanted independence, to succeed on her own terms. And in doing so, she drifted away. Lee was heartbroken. He started to feel like a visitor in his own marriage. He once said that at the height of her fame he saw her maybe 2 days a week, and even then it wasn't really them anymore. It was brief moments between shoots. Scheduled hugs. Rushed kisses. The woman he loved was slipping into the fast-moving blur of celebrity, and no matter how tightly he held on, she kept slipping further away. And just when it felt like things couldn't get more strained, they did. By the late 70s, Lee and Farrah's emotional distance had become physical too. They weren't fighting, they weren't screaming, they just weren't really there. Separate beds, separate call sheets, separate lives. Still married, yes, but not really together. Lee kept trying. He asked friends to talk to her, to help bring them back together. He held out hope. But Farrah had already met someone else. And not just anyone, Ryan O'Neal. A fellow actor. A familiar face. A man Lee had once considered a friend. One day, Lee opened a magazine and saw it. Farrah and Ryan holding hands. Smiling. Not a whisper beforehand. No warning. Just a gut punch in glossy print. The betrayal was public. And personal. Ryan wasn't just another man, he was part of their world. Their circle. That's what stung the most. Farrah and Ryan didn't hide it. The press went wild. Late-night shows cracked jokes. The public ate it up. But Lee? He was shattered. He didn't scream. He didn't lash out. He just disappeared. From her life. From the narrative. From the noise. When their divorce was finalized in 1982, Nearly 9 years after their wedding, Lee had already emotionally moved on, or at least tried to. He buried himself in work, took new roles, starred in The Fall Guy, which had a decent run. But his heart? That part never quite healed. Farrah, meanwhile, kept her life public. Her relationship with Ryan was messy, passionate, dramatic, and always under the spotlight. Breakups, makeups, emotional interviews, tabloid chaos. She was vulnerable and open with the world. Lee, the opposite. Guarded, polite, silent. Years passed. Whenever someone brought up Farrah in interviews, Lee would give a short, respectful answer, then change the subject. He admitted once he never watched Charlie's Angels. Said it hurt too much. Not because of the show, but because of what it represented. A time, a love, a connection he'd lost. Then, something unexpected happened. In the early 2000s, a friend approached them both, separately, about a quiet reunion. Not for publicity. No red carpets. Just coffee. A conversation. Maybe a laugh. Farrah was open to it. She changed. She remembered the good times. Lee paused. He thought about it. And then he said, no. Not out of anger. Not out of pride. Just self-preservation. Too many years had passed. Too many scars. Seeing her again meant digging up memories he'd buried for survival. And so, the meeting never happened. Then came the news that shook everyone. In 2006, Farrah revealed she had been diagnosed with a rare, aggressive cancer. She fought bravely. She even documented her experience, sharing her pain and strength with the world. It was raw. It was real. And it showed just how tough she really was. Lee, silent. No public comments. No visits. But privately? Friends say he was crushed. He followed every update. He mourned her long before the world did. Not in front of cameras. Not with headlines. But in his own quiet way. When she passed in 2009, Lee released a single statement. She was an angel on earth. Now she's an angel forever. That was it. Simple. Respectful. Distant. He didn't attend her funeral. Some judged him. Others understood. Because sometimes the biggest heartbreaks don't scream. They whisper. And Lee Majors had already said goodbye years before anyone else. He eventually found love again. Married in 2002 to a woman outside the spotlight. A calmer chapter. Farrah left behind a legacy too, not just of beauty but of courage, resilience, and fighting for respect as a serious actress. They both carved their names into history. But the one story left unwritten? The one between them. No final conversation. No closure. Just two people who once loved each other deeply, and then vanished from each other's lives. Like a book with no final chapter. So, did Lee ever forgive her? Did Farrah want him to? Maybe we'll never know. Maybe that's how love stories end sometimes, not with a bang but with silence. And maybe, just maybe, he never stopped loving her at all. If this story hit you in the heart, you're not alone. The real lives behind Hollywood's perfect photos? They're often messier, sadder, more human than any script. So if you want more deep dives into the untold stories behind the glitz and glam, hit that like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more. Until next time, hold tight to the people you love. You never know how long you've got. Ask ChatGPT.